I played Yu-Gi-Oh for a month. This game is hard. Let's watch.
Hey everyone, I'm Gen TCG, and I've been playing card games ever since I was a child. Over the last 20 years, I've played Pokemon, Magic, Hearthstone, Legends of Runeterra, Riftbound, and even a bit of Star Wars Unlimited.
Well, this is someone who actually cares about TCG, right? That's awesome, because the previous video was about Jen getting from Pokemon into Yu-Gi-Oh, but I didn't know she was into more stuff like that. Or that
But I've
much.
been learning Yu-Gi-Oh over the last month, and Yu-Gi-Oh has been by far the most challenging game I've ever tried to learn. Between needing to read a lot of complicated cards and figuring out how they all work together, it's been really tough to understand how to play the game's decks. But at the same time, it's also been extremely rewarding to learn too. I still smile whenever I execute a full Radiant Typhoon
A full Radiant Typhoon
and set up
combo.
a board with 3 disruptions, all from a single Radiant Typhoon Swen. In this video, I wanted to talk about some of the things that I found especially difficult about learning Yu-Gi-Oh! From the challenge of learning new decks to the annoyance of learning random edge cases within the rules. And at the end of this video, I'll also share the things that have helped me out a ton with learning the game. So without further ado, let's get into what I struggled with the most this month.
Okay. When I was beginner-friendly
I want to
products.
address some feedback I got after posting my last video. In that video, I expressed some sentiment that Yu-Gi-Oh! Lacked good new player products. A lot of you guys shared your thoughts on this. Some of you guys agreed with me, others disagreed, but overall there was a lot of good discussions that were had about this topic. After reading these YouTube comments and Twitter threads, I could boil most of them down into one of two arguments. They were either, what do you mean there's no good intro products? The legendary Modern Decks collection you talked about is our good intro product. Or it was, it's not really possible to make a deck that's both easy to play and meta-relevant in 2026. Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Just doesn't work like that. And I want to address both.
Those are both valid, I think. Pepper, do you know about Celebrity Shadow Duelist yet? I don't know what that is. I play a bunch of cards with I do wish more good products existed, and that will be coming soon. But with masterduel stuff would be better. I feel like there is no way to get like something like that is actually like easy. Easy? No. Everything is like less hard, but not easy. There is nothing like that. Legendary Modern Deck kind of thing for masterduel would be good, but we have structure decks. We have structure decks.
Both of these arguments. The first argument, that the legendary modern decks are the good starter products, I both agree and disagree with. As I've stated,
I mean, they are starter because they are cheap, but they are not easy to play.
Before, I really like what the decks do as a product. They're a good product that new players should get if they want to start competing at a budget. But where I think they fall short is how new player friendly they actually are. These decks don't come with any sort of combo guide, any general strategy notes, or any direction at all really for a new player to use. From my own personal experience, I had to figure these decks out by manually reading all the cards in each deck and trying to remember them as best as I could.
That's not how you learn this, right? You look for guides or a coach. You don't do that. You don't even have to read the cards, you just need a coach. That's how you learn the game, and you cannot get that. Konami's not gonna give you a coach.
Then once I'd finished reading about a novel's worth of text, I had to go out and scour a bunch of information about the Mitsurugi and Sky Striker decks myself and hope whatever YouTube video I was watching was new player friendly enough for me to understand. This worked, and I'm familiar with some basic Mitsu and Sky Striker lines now, but there had to be a better way, right? When I've expressed this sentiment about the legendary modern decks, I've had people tell me, well, you can't have an easy to play yet powerful deck. That's not how modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Works.
Yes.
My response to that argument is that I mostly agree. I'm not asking for the decks to be buy at the store and be back home and playing modern Yu-Gi-Oh! In 15 minutes levels of easy. I'm asking for Konami to have included some basic combo lines and strategies included in the decks so that new players like myself would have had some sort of direction to go off of. Maybe I wouldn't know every single Sky Striker line, but I could understand something simple like play Hornet Drones into Kagari, replay Hornet Drones and link it to equals 0 to have a quick effect.
YouTube videos will help. It will be better to have a tutorial built in. I don't think that's realistic. Tutorial built in, like in masterduel, yes, maybe, but it will be always. It will always be outdated. It will never be like how you are meant to play it right now because it keeps evolving. We used to have that with combos. Yeah, combo of like someone, what was it? The White Wolf or something like that. and Raigeki. Was it that? I think it was something like that, right? It's not realistic. The structure decks used to include key cards and basic combo lines. Yeah. Raigeki Silverwolf. Yeah. It actually is reasonably built in since you have the tactic try deck stuff to explain the decks. We don't have that in the TCG, only in the OCG. I mean, I guess we could have that. I guess that's something. I don't know what the product is exactly, so.
Effect Destroy at my disposal. Then as I get better with the deck, I could piece together more advanced lines to play around with. I think at a broader level,
Sky Striker is being called simple is crazy. I mean, compared to our stuff, I guess it is kind of simple, right? If you compare Sky Striker with Yami, it seems simple, honestly, but it is not.
I think experienced Yu-Gi-Oh players have the sentiment that new players want the game to be easy, whereas from my perspective, I just want it to be digestible. I'm expecting the game to be difficult, that's why I got into the game in the first place. Without using outside resources, it's an extremely laborious exercise to try and play with 55 cards that all force you to read a paragraph just to understand how they work.
Understanding the opponent's deck? Okay, this is impossible. Understanding the opponent's deck is just impossible. That is not a realistic thing to do, sadly. I don't think that, I think like that's the hardest part of Yu-Gi-Oh! You can know your deck left and right. You can memorize every single aspect of your deck, every single card, and every single combo line, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't understand the opponent's deck. And that's impossible to do. It only comes with time, right, and experience.
For me has felt like learning a fighting game. I had to first learn my deck strategies and combos in order to start playing the game, but to be truly successful I have to be understanding what my opponent is trying to do, right? I know this is something that mostly just comes with experience, but it's been a challenge getting to the point where I can understand what my opponent's game plan is and what I should do to try and stop it. My read on the game so far is that for the most part, most decks are built to have starters for their combos. These starters will then let you find extenders and then finishers, while establishing disruption along the way.
Interesting. Wait, they already included QR codes to scan and download masterduel and Duel Links. Why can they include a guide? I guess they could, right? I guess they could. Combo, yes. Interactions, lol, no. Yeah, exactly. But like most new players didn't expect it to be Dark Souls level. Well, I feel like they should. I feel like they should. I feel like it's their fault. No, I'm just kidding. It's not their fault. Honestly, the fact that people can even remember a bunch of cards like staples and meta is just you go to play. Huh? That will take effort, Pyro, and the TCG is allergic to that. Bruh. And unlike a lot of TCG ban lists, it's so small that you can use so many cards. Yeah, that's true, right? Since every card is playable, basically every card is playable, there's no rotating format. You can always get surprised by stuff, right? It's not like, oh yeah, these are the only 4 decks, and you just learn the 4 of them, and that's it, right? There is a lot of stuff going on.
And so the counterplay is knowing what the opponent's important pieces are so you can stop them. Like for example, against Radiant Typhoon, you really want to use your disruption against the Radiant Typhoon Crocea, since that's the most important, impactful extender that they play. Makes sense in theory, right? Well, the problem once again comes down to reading cards. When I'm building and practicing my own decks, I can get familiar with my cards enough where I don't have to read their effects anymore. I can just recognize them by name or art.
Yep.
But when I play against a new deck at a local or on masterduel, once again I'm stopping to read every single card my opponent is playing. Now I'm figuring out, is this a key piece I can stop, or can I let this resolve? Or if like I'm going second and my opponent has a full board setup on their turn 1.
The one thing that is important when people say, but just read the cards, it's impossible. Just reading the cards, if you read all the cards on the board, you don't get the idea of what is in the extra deck, what the opponent has in the hand, or like what can be summoned, what are the interactions that you don't see on board. So just reading doesn't matter. Reading doesn't matter. Dang. Intergraph is easy for veterans despite how scary those boxes. There's no way. No one is reading that. Which is bonus and minus depending on what you play. I remember a lot of pro players hating that decks are so diverse now for pro play. Pros were happy when Kultun were becoming dominant because they can side stuff that is easier. People usually hate diverse meta. That's interesting. That's an interesting point. They need to make Sword Soul too? No.
I have to look over every card they played and figure out what cards they have that can disrupt my turn. It's time consuming and I always feel bad for how long it takes me to read my opponent's cards. Having to learn my opponent's—
You just need to read the middle text parts for Innecraft. But how are you gonna know that if you're not like already like a good player, right? I mean, learning the opponent's deck is easier in paper. Anyone on locals can happily explain that. Well, I guess it depends, right? Some people will explain their own cards. You don't know what my card does? I will tell you, don't worry. Yeah, in Masterduel you have to read them, right? But like where they also explain what's the game plan, I don't know, it depends. I don't think it's that simple.
Decks on the fly is a problem that can only be solved with game experience, really. So it's not a flaw of the game or anything. It's been a challenge, but I would run into the same issue if I was learning the meta of any other competitive game.
You have some
like
weird
I said
rules?
in the intro, I've played a ton of card games over the years, so I figured learning Yu-Gi-Oh's rules might be pretty simple, since I learned so many games' rules already, and I've never really run into any trouble. Plenty of people would tell me things like, Yu-Gi-Oh is hard because you have to play on your opponent's turn, and your opponent can react to—
You don't want Masterduel to have voice chat. You don't need this to have voice chat. It's absurd to request voice chat in a game, in a 1v1 game. Voice chat only makes sense for teammates, between teammates. You don't need voice chat to interact with your opponent. You will only get called slurs the whole time. You know that. If you want voice chat, it's because you're the one who wants to call your opponent slurs, and that makes you a bad person. I wanna get called the N-word by 12-year-olds. Now that's messed up. That's messed up. Yes, but it was raised in the cold lobbies. Yeah, and look what it did to you. That's not good for you. That's not good for anyone. That's not good for anyone. I miss the old internet. No, you don't miss the old internet. You miss being 10 years old. That's all it is. Okay? Let's be serious here. Come on.
To all of your cards. But I'd figured, since I'd been playing Magic on and off for over a decade now, I could easily understand how Yu-Gi-Oh's version of the stack worked, right?
The what?
Maybe I was being naive, and I knew Magic's rules wouldn't translate over one-to-one to Yu-Gi-Oh, but I severely underestimated just how different Yu-Gi-Oh's chain is compared to Magic's stack.
Dude, the chain is so fun. 14, 15, 16. The chain is so fun. I love the chain.
In more and more games, I had to unlearn so many things about how I thought things would resolve or trigger, since the game used Yu-Gi-Oh's rules instead of Magic rules. For example, it took me so long to wrap my head around the fact that triggered abilities on monsters went on a new chain instead of on the current chain. In Magic, if an ability's trigger conditions are met, that ability goes on top of the stack, making it the next thing to resolve if no further responses are activated. For example—
I'm sorry, 603? Okay.
If you control a young Pyromancer and you play a Lightning Bolt, the trigger to create a token immediately goes on the stack. It's too late for your opponent to try and destroy your young Pyromancer and prevent the ability from triggering. But in Yu-Gi-Oh, if a trigger effect would trigger, the entire chain has to resolve and the trigger's source must still exist in the correct zone in order for the effect to actually trigger. If you control a Radiant Typhoon Phonix, and you play a Mystical Space Typhoon, the Phonix trigger effect won't go on the chain until the entire chain resolves. Furthermore, your opponent can chain a removal spell like the Fallen and the Virtuous to your MST to kill the Phonix. And since after the chain resolves, Phonix is no longer on the field, you won't get its trigger effect to shuffle two of your opponent's cards back in.
Oh my god, that's so... I think she already got it. She already has it figured out. It's like, it's over. She's already a pro player. Like, I don't know. Most Yu-Gi boomers still don't know that the chain exists. I don't know.
Honestly, I sometimes wonder if having Magic knowledge beforehand was detrimental to me learning
I think
Yu-Gi-Oh,
it was.
since I had to unlearn how the stack worked as I was learning how the chain worked. There's some other weird rules too. Apparently if you get a ritual monster like Hapakiri from your deck into your graveyard, you can't just use an effect like Mitsurugi Prayers to cheat it out from the graveyard unless you originally tribute summoned it first. Nowhere on the cards does it say
yeah,
this.
that's not written anywhere.
You have to know, I guess. And don't even get me started about trigger effects that let you summon from hand. When playing Radiant Typhoon, one thing that would catch me off guard was if I had, say, a Crocea and a Phonix in hand, and I played a Radiant Typhoon Ascension, Masterduel would let me choose which one to summon off the triggered effect, But once I chose the first one, it wouldn't let me choose the second one. I was so confused. I looked over triggered effects and simultaneous effects go on chain rules, and nothing seemed to be preventing me from summoning both.
Well, you have to talk to someone. There is no other way. You have to talk to someone. You have to ask someone. There is no other way. You're not gonna find it reading. You just have to talk to someone. And I hate that. I hate that. I'm gonna be honest, I hate that. I wish I could just, you know, study and learn. But the fact that you have to talk to people is messed up.
Well, after a lot of Googling, I learned that there was this random rule called the Green Baboon Rule, named after Green Baboon, Defender of the Forest, that basically states that if you have multiple triggers that will let you special summon from the hand, you only get to summon one of them in that chain.
Huh? I didn't process anything there.
And this only applies to monsters in hand, mind you. I could do multiple monsters from grave at the same time, like Phonix and Vararoon, or one from hand and one from grave. But apparently there's a random exception for triggered effects from hand, and after talking to some friends about it, apparently it's ruled that way because... well, because Konami said so, I guess.
Sometimes it is like that. Sometimes just English works like that. Sometimes English just have exceptions for random words. It's so dumb. What's been helpful?
So with all of these challenges I've had with learning Yu-Gi-Oh!, what's helped the most with improving at the game? I wanted to share a few things that I've utilized over the past month that have been the most helpful for me. First, I want to talk about combo guides. I came into Yu-Gi-Oh! With a mindset of, I'll just play the decks a few times and get a feel for how everything works. That's how I played Magic and Pokemon, because both of these games are pretty easy to just pick up and play. But pretty quickly I realized that you can't really do that in Yu-Gi-Oh! This game is so much more combo oriented that playing cards haphazardly would kind of be like playing Smash Bros. And hoping that button mashing would just win you games against tournament players.
Nope.
It just doesn't work. Eventually, a friend suggested to me that I should
It only works if you play Floodgates. This honestly can work, but if you're playing Floodgates, not with real decks.
Some combo trees for Radiant Typhoon. And I watched a couple of videos and learned some basic combo lines, and it helped me a ton to have a basic game plan going into each matchup. I learned how to consistently turn a single Radiant Typhoon Swen into a board of 2 negates and a graveyard monster shuffle effect. And once I got the hang of doing this basic combo, I could start freestyling a lot more by adding in extenders to find board breakers like Phonix, or monster negates like Vararoon.
That's exactly in every art form, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Sometimes is more art than science. In every art form, you first need to learn the basics, right? And then after you learn the basics, then you can start creating and freestyling your own stuff. Same with music, same with drawing, same with anything. So you cannot just expect to figure it out. I have a friend who is right now learning Yu-Gi-Oh! And she's trying to make her own combos. And I'm like, just look at the guide. There is a list of combos for this archetype. You don't, depending on your starting hand, you don't have to figure them out on the fly. That's why you lose every game because you run out of time, because you're trying to figure out the most optimal combo for just situation. Just look at the guide, and then you can freestyle after that. And then she's like, no, that's cheating. And I'm like, what do you mean it's cheating? The combos already exist. You just have to look at the guide and then you can improvise. But you need to learn the basics. Come on. There is no way. And yes, I know English is like that because it comes from inspiration from different languages or whatever. Yeah, people think that's cheating, learning stuff from others. Yeah, I can't believe it. People are already teaching. I'm not teaching because they don't want to learn. They just want to play the game. And then they are like, wait, but my monster cannot be destroyed. How do you destroy it? And I look at read. It says send to the graveyard. And it's like, yes, you destroyed it. And it cannot be destroyed. And it's like sending to the graveyard and destroying are different things. Yeah, well, I don't know. Some people just don't want to learn. What can I do?
The Vibrant Vortex. Another thing that's helped me with learning Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been the classic, have a friend there to help coach you through the game. Not everyone is going to have access to this, but having someone teach you the fundamentals of the game beyond, this is how you link summon as SP Little Knight can be super helpful. I know there's been a fair amount of discourse about this, but when I was looking for YouTube tutorials to learn how to play, most of them were heavily focused on the game rules themselves and not about actually learning how to play the game at a competent level. Yeah. It's been extremely helpful for me to be able to bounce ideas off of my friends for what to do in different game situations.
Not everyone has friends. Okay, Okay. Let's be real. Let's be real here. That's true. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. That card doesn't say destroy. Sending a monster is different, and returning flip are different from destroy. Yeah. I almost never go by combo guides. I've completely skipped all Orcus guides because they are either old. Oh well, that's also a thing. Yeah, but you can get new ones. I would rather just throw myself against gold players until I have everything memorized enough to freestyle. Yeah, especially in nerd hobbies. The thing is that they want you. Huh? The thing is that they want you. A what? I sorry. I don't know English. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I've hopped in Discord calls while playing masterduel, and I've had friends observe my gameplay to give me pointers, and that's helped me see lines and understand concepts that I've not yet mastered for myself. It's also been nice to have people I can ask rules questions to if I'm confused as to why a specific interaction is happening. If you don't have any friends who play Yu-Gi-Oh, I'd suggest the subreddit Yu-Gi-Oh 101.
Alright. And I'm sure everyone in Yu-Gi-Oh 101 are eager to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh, right? And help new players. There is also Discord servers for that. If anyone is learning, you can always ask in my Discord server. There's a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh nerds that want to help people learn Yu-Gi-Oh. So yeah, okay.
As it's had answers to many of my rules questions as well. Ultimately, I think what's helped me improve the most has been just playing a lot of games.
Wow,
I've been trying to play Master Duel every day, and the more I play, the more I learn how the game works and what strategies I should be using to win duels. I've used the fighting game analogy quite a lot, and practicing Yu-Gi-Oh for me has felt a lot like grinding combos in training mode, and getting friendly games in with other players. And the more games I play, the more time it gives me for all the information to settle in my head. Learning Yu-Gi-Oh has been like drinking from the fire hose, and so I've needed time to absorb everything I've been taught.
Conclusion. But combo guides mean nothing when the combo is 30 steps long and ashable. Well, that's your fault. You need specific esoteric knowledge. Ray does usually have that esoteric knowledge. Yes, 100%. Playing more make you better. Who would have guessed? Yeah.
I've had a lot of fun learning and playing Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's been pretty challenging at times too. The legendary modern decks I started out with aren't the hardest decks to play, but I would have loved to have had a bit more guidance included in the product itself. Once I practiced my decks enough to start playing against real players, having to spend a lot of time reading every single card my opponents played to try and piece together a plan to stop whatever they're going to throw at me was a huge mental load. Adding on to that challenge was the fact that there were so many edge and corner case rules that I came across that weren't the most intuitive at first. But I've gotten so much better over the last month. Using combo guides and help from friends has been immensely helpful to increase my knowledge.
That's literally it. Look at the guides, talk to people. That's it. Remember, when's the next viewers duel? On Saturday. Always Saturday.
Knowledge. And consistently practicing the game has done a ton to build up my skill. Just last weekend, I went 2-1 at a local with Radiant Typhoon, and the one match I lost was a double match loss versus Memento that I had a pretty decent shot at winning if we had more time to finish Game 3. My experience—
But let's be honest, who knows what Memento does?
With Yu-Gi-Oh has been like climbing a mountain, and I feel like I've gotten to the point where I'm high enough to look down and only see a tiny speck where the journey started. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, give it a like and a subscribe. The feedback to my last video was overwhelmingly positive, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about this video in the comments as well. If you want to chat with me, I'm very active on Twitter, link to my profile is in the description. I'm also setting a goal for myself to upload one video every month, so stay tuned for my next one. Until then, have a wonderful day.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Chad, if you can, go support Yen. Awesome creator. Came out of nowhere.
Month?
Came out of nowhere, and yeah. This is gonna be like our new staple. That's awesome. And all the points make sense. It's just like, it's about like how we go about it. And obviously everyone is different, so everyone will have different experiences and different ways to deal with the hardships of Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, honestly, it feels like a reason why Konami doesn't include more rules, because they want to force people to talk to people. There is no way that's what they want. There's no way that's what they want. I mean, who knows? Maybe it is, but I really doubt it. That sounds like a too much of a noble thing. and I don't think that's why. I think like this is simply hard to do, but yeah. Let me know what's the hardest part for you in the comments about learning Yu-Gi-Oh. To me, it will always be knowing what the opponent is playing. To me, that's what makes it discouraging, because you can learn your deck, you can pick your favorite archetype from the anime and build a perfect deck and know what everything does, have the combo lines, understand how it works, and then you just play against someone playing something that you have never seen before, and you don't know what to do anymore. You suddenly forget how to play the game. So yeah, for me that's it. But let me know. Thank you.